The last breath of Zeus. High in the misty mountains of a peaceful land, where ancient pines whispered secrets to passing clouds, there lived a young boy named Arden in a cozy stone cottage. He shared this warm home with his grandmother Elena, a gentle soul who knew all the old stories of their village and tended to their flourishing herb garden with loving care. Arden was known throughout the village of Cloudrest for his curious nature and kind heart. His eyes, the color of storm clouds, seemed to hold within them the very essence of the sky itself. Each morning, he would help his grandmother gather herbs from their garden, listening intently as she shared tales of the mountains and the ancient gods who once walked among mortals. The village of Cloudrest sat nestled in a valley between three peaks, so high that their tops often disappeared into the clouds. The villagers lived simple but content lives, tending to their gardens, herding sheep across green meadows, and gathering in the evenings to share stories by warm fires. They said that their village was blessed by the sky itself, for storms rarely troubled them, and the weather always seemed to know just what the crops needed. One particularly misty morning, as autumn painted the mountainsides in rich golds and deep reds, Arden ventured a bit further than usual during his morning walk. The air held that special crispness that only mountain mornings can bring, and the dew-laden grass sparkled like countless tiny stars beneath his feet. Elena had always told him that mornings like these were magical, when the veil between the ordinary and the extraordinary grew thin. As he climbed higher up the gentle slope of the nearest peak, something caught his eye. There, nestled among the rocks and morning glory flowers, was a strange gleam. At first, he thought it might be merely the morning light playing tricks on his eyes, but as he drew closer, the gleam became more distinct, more purposeful. Carefully moving aside the delicate purple blooms, Arden discovered a stone unlike any he had ever seen. It was roughly the size of his palm, with edges that zigzagged like frozen lightning. The stone seemed to pulse with an inner light, a soft blue-white glow that reminded him of the way the sky looked just before a summer storm. When he finally gathered the courage to pick it up, the stone felt warm to his touch, as if it had been basking in the sun for hours, though the morning was still cool and misty. What made the stone even more remarkable was its surface pattern. Veins of what appeared to be pure light ran through it in intricate patterns, creating an effect like lightning frozen in glass. As Arden held it, he felt a gentle vibration, almost like a heartbeat, pulsing through the stone and into his hand. Elena had often told him stories of the old gods, particularly of Zeus, the master of thunder and lightning. She spoke of how, in the final days of the gods' reign on earth, Zeus had chosen to leave one last gift for humanity, a fragment of his power, encoded within a stone that bore his signature. This stone, she had said, would one day find its way to someone worthy, someone who could help maintain the delicate balance between the sky and the earth. As Arden studied the stone in his hands, a warm breeze suddenly swirled around him, carrying with it the scent of ozone and mountain flowers. The mist parted briefly, revealing the vast expanse of sky above, and for a moment, he could have sworn he heard a distant rumble of thunder, though there wasn't a storm cloud in sight. Making his way back down the mountain path, Arden felt different somehow. The stone in his pocket seemed to pulse in rhythm with his steps, and he noticed that the morning glory flowers turned to follow him as he passed, as if drawn by some invisible force. Even the air around him felt charged with possibility, like the moment just before a summer rain. When he reached the cottage, Elena was in the garden, her silver hair catching the morning light as she tended to her herbs. As soon as she saw him, she paused in her work, her wise eyes taking in his expression and the slight bulge in his pocket where the stone rested. Without a word, she straightened up and brushed the soil from her hands, a knowing smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Inside their cozy cottage, as the morning light filtered through the windows and cast dancing shadows on the worn wooden floor, Elena prepared her special mountain tea. The aromatic steam rose in delicate spirals as she added honey and a sprig of fresh mint. It was time, she knew, to share with her grandson the full story of Zeus's last gift to humanity, a story she had been keeping safe, waiting for just this moment. As the tea steeped and the cottage filled with its soothing fragrance, Elena began to share the ancient tale, her voice soft but clear, like wind through summer leaves. She spoke of how Zeus, seeing the changing world and knowing that the time of the gods was drawing to a close, had chosen not to simply fade away but to leave behind a portion of his power, a gift that would help maintain the harmony between sky and earth. The stone, she explained, was more than just a beautiful curiosity. It was the crystallized form of Zeus's last breath, containing within it not just the power to influence weather and lightning, but also the wisdom to know when and how to use such abilities. This power, she told him, came with great responsibility, the duty to maintain balance, to protect both the sky above and the earth below. As Elena spoke, the stone in Arden's pocket seemed to grow warmer, as if responding to her words. Outside the cottage windows, the morning mist began to shift and swirl in unusual patterns, and distant clouds gathered and dispersed in a dance that seemed almost purposeful. The very air around them hummed with ancient magic, awakening after centuries of slumber. As Elena finished sharing the ancient tale, she rose from her chair and walked to an old wooden chest tucked away in a corner of the cottage. With gentle hands, she lifted out a leather-bound book, its pages yellowed with age and its cover worn smooth by countless hands. This book, she explained to Arden, had been passed down through generations of mountain dwellers, containing the collected wisdom of those who had observed the delicate dance between sky and earth. The afternoon light filtered through the cottage windows as Elena carefully opened the book, releasing the soft scent of aged paper and dried herbs that had been pressed between its pages. She showed Arden intricate drawings of weather patterns, cloud formations, and the ancient symbols used to channel the power of the sky. Each page held not just information, but the accumulated wisdom of centuries. Over the next few days, Arden spent hours with his grandmother, learning the secrets contained within the old book. He discovered that the stone responded to his emotions, growing warmer when he felt peaceful and cooler when he felt uncertain. Elena taught him exercises to calm his mind and connect with the natural world around him, explaining that true mastery of the sky's power required a deep understanding of balance and harmony. As autumn deepened in the mountains, Arden began to notice subtle changes in himself and his surroundings. The birds that visited their garden seemed to linger longer near him, and the wind would often shift direction to ruffle his hair playfully. Most remarkably, he found that he could sense approaching weather patterns before they arrived, feeling them as gentle whispers in his mind. One crisp morning, as frost painted delicate patterns on the cottage windows, Elena decided it was time for Arden's first practical lesson. She led him to a quiet meadow high above the village, where the air was thin and clear. There, surrounded by alpine flowers and watched by curious mountain goats, she taught him how to listen to the sky. Elena instructed him to close his eyes and hold the lightning stone in both hands, feeling its warmth and the subtle pulse of energy within it. She guided him to breathe slowly and deeply, matching his breath to the rhythm of the stone. As he did so, Arden began to sense the vast expanse of sky above him in a way he never had before. He could feel the movements of air currents, the gathering and dispersing of clouds, and the dance of energy that constantly flowed between heaven and earth. With patient guidance from his grandmother, Arden learned to extend his awareness outward, touching the edges of clouds with his mind and feeling the potential for rain or snow within them. Elena taught him that his role was not to control these forces, but to work in harmony with them, helping to maintain the natural balance that kept their mountain home healthy and prosperous. As weeks passed, Arden's abilities grew stronger, though Elena constantly reminded him that with greater power came greater responsibility. He learned to ease the force of strong winds that threatened the village's crops, to guide gentle rain to areas suffering from drought, and to disperse storm clouds that might have caused dangerous flooding. Each small act required careful consideration of its effects on both the immediate area and the larger patterns of weather that moved across the mountains. The villagers soon began to notice the subtle changes in their weather patterns. The rains came when needed, neither too heavy nor too light. The wind seemed to dance around their buildings rather than buffeting them, and even the wildflowers in the mountain meadows bloomed more vibrantly than ever before. Though none except Elena knew the source of these changes, the village elders spoke of old prophecies and the return of ancient blessings. One particular evening, as Arden sat with his grandmother by their cottage fireplace, she shared more about the responsibility he had inherited. The power of Zeus's last breath, she explained, was not meant to control or dominate nature, but to help maintain the delicate balance that kept the world in harmony. She spoke of how the ancient god had recognized that humanity needed not masters, but guardians, those who would work with nature rather than seeking to bend it to their will. The flames cast dancing shadows on the walls as Elena described how the power of the stone was tied to the cycle of seasons and the natural rhythm of the earth. She explained that true strength lay not in the ability to command lightning or summon storms, but in the wisdom to know when to act and when to let nature take its course. As winter approached, bringing with it the promise of snow and quiet days, Arden's understanding of his gift deepened. He spent long hours practicing the techniques Elena taught him, learning to feel the subtle shifts in air pressure that preceded storms and the gentle currents that carried birds on their migration paths. The lightning stone became an extension of himself, its warmth a constant reminder of the connection between sky and earth. During this time, Elena also taught him about the importance of community and how his gift could be used to protect and nurture not just the natural world, but also the people who depended on it. She showed him how to read the signs in cloud patterns that might warn of dangerous weather, and how to use his abilities subtly to prevent harm while maintaining the natural order. The village of Cloudrest continued to prosper under this invisible protection. Farmers found their crops receiving just the right amount of rain. Shepherds noticed how storms seemed to pass around their flocks rather than through them, and the children of the village delighted in the perfect snow that fell each winter, neither too heavy nor too light. Yet with each small miracle he helped create, Arden felt the weight of his responsibility grow. The lightning stone served as both a tool and a reminder, a bridge between the ancient power of the gods and the more subtle magic that now governed the world. Through it, he learned to feel the pulse of the mountains themselves, to understand the complex dance of weather patterns that brought life and renewal to the land. As winter settled fully over the mountains, bringing with it long nights and star-filled skies, Arden's connection to the natural world grew ever stronger. The lightning stone had become more than just a tool, it was now a constant companion, its gentle warmth serving as a reminder of the delicate balance he helped maintain. During these quiet winter months, Elena began teaching Arden about the more subtle aspects of his gift. She explained how the power of Zeus's last breath was not limited to controlling weather, but extended to understanding the deeper rhythms of the natural world. Through careful practice, Arden learned to sense the dreams of hibernating animals, the slow growth of roots beneath the frozen soil, and the whispered conversations between wind and mountain. On particularly clear nights, grandmother and grandson would sit on their cottage porch, wrapped in warm blankets, watching the aurora borealis dance across the sky. Elena would explain how these celestial lights were connected to the same energies that flowed through the lightning stone, part of the vast tapestry of natural forces that connected everything in their world. The village children often gathered near their cottage, drawn by the sense of peace and wonder that seemed to emanate from the garden. Though they knew nothing of Arden's gift, they would listen eagerly as Elena told stories of the old gods and the magic that still lingered in the world. Arden would sit quietly during these times, the stone warm in his pocket, watching how the children's eyes grew wide with wonder at tales of Zeus and his final gift to humanity. One particularly memorable evening, as snow fell in soft, gentle flakes outside, Elena shared with Arden the story of how she had come to be the keeper of the ancient knowledge. She spoke of her own grandmother, a wise woman who had spent her life studying the signs and patterns of the natural world, preparing for the day when Zeus's gift would return to their mountain home. The book of weather wisdom had been passed down through generations of their family, each keeper adding their own observations and insights. As spring began to stir beneath the blanket of snow, Arden faced his first real challenge. The warming air brought with it the threat of avalanches, as layers of snow became unstable on the mountainsides. Drawing upon everything he had learned, he worked carefully with the elements, using his connection to the sky to guide warm breezes that would help the snow melt gradually rather than all at once. The villagers noticed how the usual spring floods were milder that year, how the snow retreated slowly and steadily rather than in dangerous rushes. The village elders spoke of how the mountains themselves seemed to be watching over them, though only Elena saw how her grandson would spend hours each day working with the weather patterns, ensuring the safety of their community. During this time, Arden discovered that his gift extended beyond just influencing the weather. He found he could sense the emotional currents of the village itself, feeling the collective worry when storm clouds gathered or the joy when the first flowers of spring pushed through the melting snow. This deeper awareness helped him understand when to use his abilities and when to let nature take its course. Elena taught him how to use this sensitivity wisely, explaining that being a guardian meant more than just preventing disasters. It meant helping to create an environment where both nature and community could thrive together. She showed him how to read the signs in nature that indicated the changing of seasons, the movements of animals, and the health of the land itself. As spring fully awakened the mountain, bringing with it new growth and renewal, Arden's abilities continued to develop in unexpected ways. He discovered that the lightning stone could help him communicate with the birds that nested in the village eaves, understanding their songs as messages about weather patterns and the movement of storms. The mountain flowers seemed to bloom more vibrantly in his presence, and even the most skittish animals would approach him without fear. The village prospered under this subtle guardianship. Gardens flourished with perfectly timed rain showers, shepherds found their flocks guided away from dangerous paths by mysterious winds, and the weather seemed to dance in harmony with the needs of the community. Yet Arden remained humble, remembering Elena's teachings about the importance of balance and the wisdom of working with nature rather than trying to control it. One particularly beautiful spring morning, as dawn painted the sky in shades of pink and gold, Elena took Arden to a hidden meadow high on the mountainside. There, surrounded by early wildflowers and the song of awakening birds, she shared with him an ancient meditation technique that would help him strengthen his connection to both sky and earth. As they sat together in the peaceful meadow, Elena guided him through the process of extending his awareness upward into the vast expanse of sky while simultaneously grounding himself in the solid presence of the mountain beneath them. This balance, she explained, was the key to using his gift wisely, always maintaining the connection between heaven and earth, just as Zeus had intended when he left his final gift to humanity. The morning light grew stronger as they practiced, and Arden felt his understanding deepen. He could sense the intricate web of connections that linked everything around them, the way the mountain springs fed the village streams, how the winds carried seeds and rain clouds from distant places, and how the rhythm of weather patterns played a crucial role in maintaining the health of their entire ecosystem. As the seasons continued their eternal dance across the mountains, Arden's role as guardian of sky and earth became more refined and nuanced. The lightning stone, always warm against his skin, had become as much a part of him as his own heartbeat. Elena watched with quiet pride as her grandson grew into his responsibilities, never losing the gentle spirit that had made him worthy of Zeus's gift in the first place. One particularly memorable summer evening, as golden light painted the mountainsides and swallows danced through the air, Elena led Arden to the highest point of their village. There, overlooking the valleys and peaks that stretched endlessly toward the horizon, she shared with him the final pieces of wisdom about his gift and its purpose in the world. She explained how the power of Zeus's last breath was not meant to remain forever with one guardian, but would pass on when the time was right, seeking out another worthy soul who would continue the work of maintaining harmony between sky and earth. This knowledge didn't sadden Arden as one might expect. Instead, it filled him with a deep sense of peace, knowing he was part of an ancient and continuing cycle. The villagers of Cloudrest, though they never knew the source of their good fortune, developed new traditions that celebrated their special connection to the sky. They began holding festivals during the changing of seasons, gathering to share stories and give thanks for the gentle weather that blessed their mountain home. Arden would attend these celebrations quietly, the stone pulsing warmly in his pocket, knowing that he was helping to protect and nurture these moments of community joy. As years passed, Arden's understanding of his gift continued to deepen and evolve. He learned that true mastery meant knowing when not to act, recognizing that sometimes the most powerful thing a guardian could do was simply watch and wait, allowing natural processes to unfold in their own time. The lightning stone helped him develop this wisdom, its energy responding not just to weather patterns, but to the deeper rhythms of the natural world. Elena's garden became known throughout the region as a place of exceptional beauty and peace. Visitors would comment on how the flowers seemed to bloom with unusual vigor, how the herbs grown there had special healing properties, and how even the air itself felt different within its boundaries. Those who spent time there often found themselves sharing their troubles, and somehow always left feeling lighter, more hopeful, as if the garden itself had absorbed their worries. Arden discovered that his ability to sense the emotional weather of the village grew stronger with time. He learned to feel the subtle shifts in community mood just as he felt approaching storm fronts, and found ways to use his gift to ease tensions and promote harmony. A gentle breeze here, a soft rain there, small touches that helped maintain balance not just in the natural world, but in the human one as well. During this time, Elena continued to add to the ancient book of weather wisdom, recording Arden's experiences and insights alongside those of previous generations. Together, they documented the subtle signs that preceded different types of weather, the ways in which animals and plants responded to atmospheric changes, and the delicate interactions between mountain, sky, and community that maintained the balance of their world. As autumn returned once more to the mountains, painting the slopes in brilliant colors, Arden realized that his gift had taught him something profound about the nature of power itself. True strength, he had learned, lay not in the ability to control natural forces, but in the wisdom to work in harmony with them. The lightning stone was not a tool of dominance, but a bridge between worlds, a means of understanding and nurturing the connections that bound all things together. The village of Cloudrest continued to thrive under his subtle guardianship. The weather patterns remained favorable, storms were gentle when they came, and the seasons flowed smoothly one into another. Yet perhaps the most remarkable thing was how unremarkable it all seemed to the villagers. They had grown accustomed to living in a place where the sky itself seemed to watch over them with benevolent care. Elena, watching her grandson's growth with quiet joy, knew that Zeus's gift had found its perfect recipient. In Arden's hands, the power of the lightning stone was used not for grand displays or personal gain, but for the gentle maintenance of harmony and balance. She understood that this was exactly what the ancient god had intended, not a continuation of divine power, but its transformation into something more subtle, more deeply integrated with the natural world. As evening settled over the mountains, bringing with it the first stars of night, Arden would often sit in the garden with his grandmother, the lightning stone warm in his hands. Together they would watch the swallows making their last flights of the day, listen to the wind singing through the pine trees, and feel the deep, steady presence of the mountains beneath them. In these moments, the boundary between guardian and guided, between sky and earth, seemed to dissolve, leaving only the peaceful awareness of being part of something vast and beautiful and eternally unfolding. The story of the last breath of Zeus continued to live on in the mountains, passed down through generations in whispered tales and fireside stories. But its true magic resided in the daily miracle of balance and harmony, in the way weather and seasons flowed in perfect rhythm with the needs of the land and its people. And in this way, the ancient power of the gods found its most perfect expression, not in dramatic displays of force, but in the quiet, constant maintenance of life's eternal dance. And so the days passed in cloud rest, each one a testament to the enduring power of wisdom, balance, and the subtle magic that lies in working in harmony with the natural world. The lightning stone continued its work through Arden's gentle guardianship, its warm pulse a constant reminder of the connection between sky and earth, past and present, power and responsibility. And in the end, this was perhaps Zeus's greatest gift, not the power to command the sky, but the wisdom to understand that true strength lies in the ability to nurture, protect, and maintain the delicate balance that sustains all life.